A screaming baby, a diaper exploded in the backseat, and $300 gone on formula, daycare, or just surviving. That's not chaos, that's just Tuesday. If you're a parent, because before the baby comes the cost. When even eggs feel too expensive, you start to wonder, if I can barely afford breakfast, how the hell am I supposed to afford a baby? And just like that, even starting a family feels like financial suicide. This isn't just a Gen Z crisis, it's a collapse that started in the year no one noticed, until it was too late. 1973. That year, a big court decision called Roe v. Wade made abortion legal in the US. At the same time, birth control became cheap and easy to get. For the first time, millions of women could choose if and when to have a baby, and many chose to wait. That same year, the number of babies born dropped below the level needed to maintain a steady population. It's never gone back up. But it wasn't just about babies. The world got harder. In 1973, the price of oil shot up. Gas stations ran out, everything got more expensive, but paychecks, they stayed the same. The idea of one parent staying home while the other worked quietly faded away. More women got jobs, but the systems didn't change to support them. There was no paid leave for new parents, no national childcare, no help for working mums. Women were expected to work like men and mother like grandmothers, with zero support. So people waited, then the next generation waited longer. And now, many are walking away from parenthood altogether. 1973 didn't make the future fall apart, but it changed the path we were on quietly. The economy shifted, but expectations stayed frozen. And people started asking, can I even afford to be a parent? That question has echoed for 50 years. And now, for millions of people, the answer is no. In the US, it costs $286,000 just to raise one child. And that's before college, before a single ER visit, before life really hits. But that number's just the floor. It starts small: diapers, formula, car seats, and tiny shoes that fit for 3 months. But it scales fast, because then comes daycare, the real shocker. In many cities, full-time daycare costs $15,000 per year, $30,000 in places like New York. Since 2000, childcare costs have risen by over 210%, while wages have barely moved. 1 in 3 families now spends over 20% of their income on childcare. Just giving birth costs nearly $19,000, with insurance. And there's no guaranteed paid leave. Most new moms return to work in 2 to 6 weeks, bleeding, exhausted, and paying someone else to hold their baby while they barely recover. Can't conceive naturally? IVF costs $15,000 to $25,000 per cycle. Today, parenthood isn't a stage of life. It's a 6-figure investment and a full-body sacrifice. A 2025 global survey found that 1 in 3 parents said, "I just want to disappear." And that's not drama. That's what happens when the cost isn't just monetary, it's existential. And now, millions are doing the math and walking away. Not from their dreams, but from a system that makes those dreams impossible. So, who's really opting out of parenthood? And why? There's a myth that young people today just don't want kids, that they're selfish, obsessed with freedom, or just too into houseplants. A 2024 Pew study found 44% of adults under 50 without kids say they don't plan to have them. Most don't say it's about freedom. They say it's about affordability, burnout, instability, and fear. It's not that they don't want kids, it's that the world they're being asked to raise kids in feels impossible. Rent has doubled in major cities over the last 15 years. Student debt is still crushing. Job security? A myth in a gig economy. And here's the kicker. Even when people do try to have kids, they're forced to choose between presence and survival. If you want to stay home longer than 2 weeks after birth, it's unpaid time, or you risk losing your job. Want to work? Daycare is $1,200 to $2,500 per month. That's more than most mortgages. And still, society shames parents for their choice, either way. Why are you hiring someone to raise your kid? Why are you staying home? Don't you want a career? No matter what you pick, it costs something. Only those with too high incomes, flexible jobs, family nearby, good health insurance, home ownership, can afford what used to be normal. So it's no surprise that DINK, dual income, no kids, isn't just trending. It's a coping strategy. And for those who do want kids, Many feel punished for simply being born into the wrong decade. And it's not just happening in America. In fact, the rest of the world might be even further ahead in the collapse. In South Korea, the total fertility rate is 0.72, the lowest on Earth. At this pace, their population could halve in under 50 years. Entire schools are closing. Apartment towers sit half empty. City councils are asking, who will still live here in 2050? Japan has been shrinking since the 1990s, losing over 600,000 people every year. 1 in 4 citizens is now over 65. By 2050, it'll be 1 in 3. The solution? Robots. AI-assisted caregivers are being deployed in nursing homes because there simply aren't enough working-age humans. China, once the face of population explosion, is now contracting. In 2022, its population shrank for the first time in 60 years. After decades of the one-child policy, couples aren't just allowed to have more children, they're begged to. Still, many say, it's not that we can't have kids, we just don't want to raise them in this system. Different countries, different cultures, same story. No one can escape this. Because when the cost of living rises and the support for families erodes, people stop reproducing, not out of hate, but out of logic. So what are governments doing? They're reaching for the only lever they think they have: money. But as we'll see next, throwing cash at this problem doesn't buy back the future, or does it? South Korea now offers $10,000 per child, plus subsidies and incentives. Yet their birth rate still dropped to a record low of 0.72. Hungary offers lifetime tax exemptions for moms with 4+ kids, but fertility barely moved. Singapore has tried everything from cash grants to dating apps, and still, its rate is just 1.05. Because the problem isn't just financial, it's emotional, existential. Imagine offering $3,000 to someone drowning in student debt, stuck in a 1-bedroom rental, barely making rent. That check doesn't buy stability, time, or belief. It's like handing someone an umbrella after the flood. Parenting isn't just about cost. It's about the world you're asked to bring a child into. And right now, that world looks brutal. Even in countries with strong subsidies, France, Canada, Germany, birth rates are still falling. Because while support exists, the belief has disappeared. Once the cultural expectation of parenthood breaks, it's nearly impossible to put back together. But what if the birth rate keeps falling? This isn't science fiction. It's already happening. Aging populations, too few children, not enough workers. And suddenly, the math breaks. No kids, no workforce, no taxes, no pensions, no healthcare, no future. Across the world, free homes, shuttered schools, empty universities, cities shrink, governments strain, power recedes. The future isn't just aging, it's disappearing. When fewer people are born, fewer dream, fewer invent, fewer imagine. You don't just lose workers, you lose meaning. The deal is dead. And what's rising in its place is silence. Unless we rebuild the conditions that make parenting possible, not just affordable, but survivable, you'll probably never have kids.